Good morning, and today's subject, Elvis Presley. I need to be careful, tread very carefully when you mention that man's name, to be honest. My wife is a big, massive fan of that guy. Personally, I'm not into it, although I like his films quite a bit. People say he's the king of rock and roll. I say he's the Jesus Christ of rock and roll, the way my wife goes on sometimes, but hey, each to their own. It's not my taste, but it is hers. But the reason I'm bringing him up is because he has the slogan, taking care of business, and that's what this video is about. I'm explaining what is going on. I am trying to take care of business on this here pickup truck, which has given me so much trouble. So it is at the repair yard, and has been at the repair yard for over a week now. I can confirm the fuel pump has died. That's the reason why it's not working properly. It is not responding to the throttle, and though it'll tick over at the very beginning of turning it over, it soon loses its momentum and just smokes like crazy. I mean, it is a sack of crap, that pump. It's had it, but if that is the original engine at 230,000 miles, it's not surprising that engine has that pump has finally died. Now, if it was a fuel rail, I could replace that, repair that very easily and very quickly. So lessons for future: if I do get another truck or a car, then that's going to be a fuel rail based one. It's not going to be a rotary one, which is what I got in there. Now, repair wise, the guy has said to me he wants to take that pump apart, completely strip it down, get a repair kit, but at the moment he's struggling to find such an item for it. There are pumps out there for sale, loads, but I don't really want to put a second-hand one in there. I'd rather scrap the truck or replace the engine with something a little bit more different and more modern, like with a fuel rail system or something. We did think about putting in a Nissan Navara d40 engine. It's the same engine, a YD engine, the early ones, but they've got a fuel rail. They upgraded the fuel rails, which is a little cheaper, but my electrical system is not set up for that system, and I can't find a D40 in a scrapyard anywhere that I could maybe strip out. Engine won't be cheap. I've been looking at prices of engines. They're almost as expensive as the vehicles themselves, to be honest with you. Astronomical in price. So I kind of looked at it like this. Now, the guy is convinced that he can fix that pump if a big if he can get the parts for it, and we're still waiting to hear from the companies that supply all these bits and pieces. So on that front, yeah, I will get back to you. But the reason why I've took the decision to repair it is quite simple, really. That truck, believe it or not, and some of you will disagree with me on this one, you'll say it's a heap of, you know what I mean. No, it really isn't. The engine is very strong on that vehicle. I'd be very surprised, apart from the fact that it's got oil leaks everywhere, I'd be very surprised if that blew up anytime soon. It's a strong engine. It doesn't rattle. It didn't smoke before the pump went, although that could be part of the reason why it didn't smoke, was because the pump was on its way out. It was good. It was clean. It's the breathing, very little of it, you know, for a diesel. So the engine's worth putting another pump on. I wouldn't want to put a second-hand one on, because that car is at an age group now where all pumps would probably be absolutely shot to pieces anyway. So if I put a second-hand one in, 100 mile, 200 mile, 1,000 mile, maybe 2,000 mile, whatever, I mean, we'll be back at square one again, replacing it. How many do I need to put in before I admit defeat and literally go out and buy a new pump for that? That's kind of where I'm at on that situation. Why am I doing it though? Well, I looked at prices of trucks again, and if I want to get a D40, for example, which I don't, because they snap in half, those ones. If I did get a D40, I still got to pay out the best part of about £2,500 to £3,000. I've been looking for a good and for a decent one, you know, rust-free one. That's what I've got to cough up, and I haven't got that money. I've just scraped enough to repair this pump. I looked at other vehicles like Ford Rangers, and I'm not keen on the early Mark ones, and they're pretty old and worn out, to be honest with you, some of them. So again, I probably will be exactly where I'm at now if I replace that vehicle. If I don't replace it with something a little bit more modern, and that comes with its own problems as well, because the more modern I go, the more electronics I got in there, and if I'm struggling with this thing, how the hell do you think I'm going to struggle with something that's even more modern than that? I don't want to go down this road. I'm now at the point where I'm thinking, maybe because everyone is keeping hold of stuff now instead of scrapping it, maybe maybe I need to look after this. It's got a really good chassis on it. It's not rotted through. It's a little rusty. People would sit there and say, "Oh, look at the state." No, 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 no. That is really good chassis under that. Just needs a power wash with sand to clean it all up, and then bed lining, including the floors. There's no rot holes in it anywhere, apart from the bucket at the back on the corner where I've put foil over it. That's the only rot hole I've got, and I will be addressing that in the summer anyway with some weld. Seals need replaced and someone's patched over, but I was actually going to take the what do you call it, the steps off and put some blocks of steel underneath each side of that anyway as a rock slider affair, with maybe a fold down step on each door, you know, something that just sort of sits upright. You can get them off the front of lorries, that you literally put your foot down and it's spring loaded, it comes down and then you can get in. So I was debating about doing that anyway. It's a good truck. Honestly guys, it's a good truck. I mean, at the end of the day, it is my business anyway, what I do with it. Some would sit there and say you're nuts, and you're probably right. But the options that are out there at the moment in the UK are very slim pickings, because everything is just getting exported. I mean, Africa is buying a lot of this stuff up. Ukraine is buying a lot of this stuff up. Pees me off a little bit, to be honest with you, the way our lot are profiteering from all of this, but, you know, in the aid of trying to help others. But it is what it is. That's how the world works, isn't it? So, yeah, that's where we're at. We're trying to fix the pump. If I was to sell the vehicle, if I was going to try and sell that vehicle, I would have to sell it, and I'm not going to, but I'd have to make my money back. If I don't really want to say it. It's embarrassing. I would have to sell that truck at, I'm not going to tell you. Sorry. £4,500. Oops, did I say that out too loud? Yeah, a lot of money. Never get it back. But hey, look, if this was a Land Rover, I wouldn't hesitate, because I love Land Rovers. I would be doing that anyway, to be honest. I mean, that old thing over there, owes me a lot more than £4,500. Trust me on that one. You see where I'm at. I need something that's going to be reliable, and this is the only way to do it. I know the vehicle. I'm getting to know it really, really well. So that's what we're doing. I'm still waiting for a response from the guy in question, and as soon as I get a phone call to tell me it's been dealt with, great. We'll then continue on with what we were originally planning, which is the roof rack, light bar, headlight bulbs. We're going to put a secondary filter in, which I still haven't done that yet, fuel filter. I just didn't want to add more complications to the guy's job if I put that in early. I thought it was a bit premature doing that. A catch tank for the head, I'm planning on putting that in. I've got to try and find another air filter from somewhere, because Nissan don't do those air filters anymore. They're an order from Japan. I'm not going to go down that road. So, and I'm not putting a speedy air filter in, you know, one of those racing ones, because that don't do the turbos any good, because they let too many particles through. They might allow more air in and might give you a little bit more performance, but they also destroy turbo fins, as witnessed on the Bus Grease Monkey channel. He was showing and demonstrating why they were such a bad idea on diesel engines, especially lorries. So no, I won't be going down that road. I need to find another paper filter from somewhere that's of the equivalent microns. I'm sure there's other vehicles out there that I can look in the engine bays of and maybe change that whole air filter housing for something completely different. It's just a question of looking and figuring it all out. So yeah, truck is still on the cards to be done. If I cannot get this sorted out and find a filter, find a pump, sorry, then I've got other options, and one of them is look for a completely different engine. Do some research on it first to make sure that the ECU can be played around with, and that the immobilizer can be removed and the alarm can be removed, because obviously if I get another engine, the immobilizer will not talk to the rest of the wiring loom. I take the few lives off, I put that onto the original plug, I take all the sensors off the side that the dashboard reads, and I send them into the plug. So hopefully everything should still work, including the ABS with a bit of luck. But if the ABS refuses to work, then obviously I'm going to have to remove the ABS completely, because our MOT state, if it's fitted, it's got to work. If I take the ABS pump out, put standard pipes in, and then I just don't have ABS, and I ain't bothered by that. I passed my test without ABS in the car, so why do I need it? I've never really relied on it. I'm not a moron that drives around super fast and suddenly finds himself that he can't stop. Well, maybe one occasion nearly did not stop, but hey, the ABS kicked in, that's why I nearly didn't stop. I don't like them. I don't like all that modern stuff. It takes the skill away from your driving. So yeah, I got a Rover V8, a couple of Rover V8 sitting in the shed. I'll show you that I can use. Actual donors, but I've got to find a flywheel and I've got to rebuild them. But with the money I've got, I can actually afford to make a brand new engine out of one of them, and one of them's a 1970s, which means I get 1970s emissions control on the MOT, because it has to run at the age of the emissions. So a 1970s engine was pretty generous, so I could get away with that. If I put in well, I don't know, a mid-2000s, then I've got to run it at mid-2000s emissions, and if I'm running it on carburetors, I'd never get it there, not a hope in hell. So yeah, that's one option. Another option is the BMW engine that sits inside that trike over there. It's a 2.5. It's the stronger of the BMW engines, but this one's got a blown head. Pot number 1 fills up with oil. I could remove that. They did use them in Land Rovers actually, so I could remove that, get it fixed, find out why. I suspect it's got a crack in the head. I'm hoping it's just the head and not the actual I've forgotten the name now. Oh Jesus shit, I've got brain fog. Block. There you go. Nobody wanted the trike when I put it up for sale, so this is going to get cut up. Or I say cut up, I'll probably strip it down to a bare frame with an axle, rear axle, and just put that on the internet with no logbook. Weld over the number, grind that back, scrap the logbook, and then somebody who wants to build a trike from scratch has got a frame already made, haven't they? You've got to be worth 500 quid to somebody, the frame and the rear axle. The forks are not worth keeping, but the rest of it is. So yeah, I don't really know what else to say, to be honest with you. So I'll keep you up to date as much as I possibly can, and with that I'll see you later. You take care and have a good week. Laters.